Okay, so since you have come, so I have not introduced you yet. All right, so let me start. So tonight we have a young, brilliant, hardworking gentleman, Mr. Sachet Agrawal. He's a CA. He's an expert in seafarers' income tax filing returns. He's personally filed more than thousand seafarers so far, and he's always been guiding many seafarers. I recently chatted with him, and I really found him to be very gentleman and seems to be a nice guy. And he's opened up a website, seafarerstax.org, under the guidance of Captain Prashant Parashar, who doesn't need any introduction. So guys, please check out his Instagram page. He has his website details. The link is there. Also, I believe his number is there on his bio. So get in touch with him for any of your income tax queries which you are not able to, clarify after today's live session. And in case you guys need another live session, he would definitely agree to come on board for another live session. So, Sachet, if you can just, other than what I described, if you can just share a little bit brief introduction, please.
Yes, sure. So thank you, Captain Vijay and Maritime Universe, and also the co-host, which I think she has not joined yet, Simran, for inviting me on this live session and giving me an opportunity to solve a lot of queries in the minds of seafarers. And there are day-to-day queries which are going through in seafarers' minds, especially with respect to taxation and finance. So, and it is, and as you know, that it is a very important subject, the taxation part, because it forms an important part of your cash flow. So, if you are not able to manage that particular cash flow, and you don't know where to invest and how to manage your taxes, when to pay tax and when not to pay tax, then there can be a serious consequences afterwards. Now you won't know that. Now you can go ahead with that, but
Hello.
but after a few years down the line, when the department, I guess Imran has joined.
Yeah.
Good evening, Captain. Hello,
Good
sir.
evening, Simran.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, Sachet.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, our website www.seafarerstax.org is a website wherein seafarers can file their income tax returns through us, and whatever, I mean, any seafarers are sailing throughout their lifetime. So like 9 months on board, and so there are chances that they miss the deadlines of the income tax. So what we have come up is that we can file their income tax returns virtually. So even if they are on board, they can still file their returns. They just have to provide the documents on mail or on WhatsApp, whatever is convenient to them, and we can approach filing the income tax returns. So it's a dedicated website, www.seafarerstax.org. And apart from income tax return filing, we also go ahead with income tax advisory and any notice received from the department, that also we can handle. And with the guidance of Captain Sanjay Parashar and Himachal Seafarers Association and Karun Jambal, the second officer, and Captain Vijay, we have come up with this new thing. So yeah.
All right. So basically, lots of the youngsters, okay, the cadets and the TMAs, the GP ratings, they have literally no clue. Like I've been, like many of our masters and chief and senior guys, they already know something, but the basic, they have really no clue. What's that 182 days, 183 days? I see many of them on board even have maintaining a savings account. So just in basic, basic NRE rules for a seafarer.
Okay. So basically, I want to start with very basic. So there are two types of person as per the Income Tax Act. One is a resident and another is a non-resident. So there are two classifications. And if you go further deep down in under resident, there are two types of residency, which are non-ordinary resident, which we call as NOR, and another is ordinary resident. So in simple, there are two types of person, resident and non-resident. And under resident, there are further two types, which are non-ordinary resident and ordinary resident. So first I will go with when do you classify yourself as a non-resident, which we call in short form as NRI, the general parlance. So basically a person becomes an NRI if his stay outside India is for 184 days or more. And in case of leap year, it would be 185 days. So if it's a normal year, then it would be 184 days outside India. And if it is a leap year, then bear in mind that you should have completed 185 days, because in leap year there are 366 days which are covered. So if we minus the 182 days thing, so 185 days is what they have to maintain outside India. So if a seafarer is sailing outside India in international waters for more than 184 days, bracket slash 185 days in case of leap year, so he will be considered as a NRI. Now, if we want to go deep further regarding what do you mean by non-ordinary resident? So if there were two types under residency, ordinary resident and non-ordinary resident. So if we can go ahead with that also, like explaining what is non-ordinary resident, because that is more technical.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So we covered the days, 184 days for a normal year and 185 days for a leap year. All right. So, and basically, the financial dates, many of them would be aware. Just if you can say the financial year starts from which date to which date.
So the financial year starts from 1st April to 31st March. So if you're calculating number of days from, like if you're calculating 184 days or 185 days, then you have to consider that based on the financial year, that is from 1st April to 31st March. So now many times what happens, if your sailing is started in January and it ends in the month of, for example, June. So these two dates are clashing in two different financial years, because from January to March, it will be classified under the previous financial year, and from 1st April to June, it will be classified in the next financial year. So when we are calculating this number of days, we have to consider these two separate financial years, and accordingly we have to calculate 184 days or 185 days, whatever is relevant.
All right. Got it. So that's clear. And do the seafarers have to maintain just a NRE and NRO, or they can maintain a savings account bank as well?
Yeah, sure. So I'll explain about that also. Every NRI seafarer shall have to maintain NRE account. So any seafarer who is completing 184 days outside India, they have to maintain NRE account. And the NRI seafarer is not eligible to maintain savings account. If they are maintaining savings account, that will be a violation as per the FEMA regulations, Foreign Exchange Management Act regulations. So immediately I would suggest all the seafarers that whatever, like even if they are maintaining savings account, they should convert their savings account into NRO account. So savings account can be converted into NRO account, and NRO account they are eligible to maintain NRO account as per FEMA regulations. But all the salary, like the salary what you are receiving from outside India, you should receive in NRE account only. Otherwise, if you receive in savings account or in NRO account, that would become taxable, even if you are qualifying as a non-resident. So make sure that you should receive entire salary in your NRE account. Otherwise, there would be some consequences afterwards.
Okay. Just the basic difference between the NRO account and the NRE account. Like, can we transfer salary that we receive from abroad into the NRO account?
Yeah. So the basic difference is the foreign income what you are earning, that can be credited in NRE and NRO also. But whatever Indian income you have earned, for example, rent income, or if you have sold any property, or if you are earning any dividend income, or if you have sold any mutual funds, or if you have sold any shares, and whatever any income you have earned from India, that can be taken into only in NRO account only, and it cannot be taken in NRE account. So the basic difference is that the foreign income can be taken in NRE account, and the Indian income can be taken in NRO account. Now, whatever interest you have earned in NRE account, that is exempt in tax. whatever interest you have earned in NRO account, that is taxable. Now, many of them have questions like, I have made an NRE FD. So, whether that interest on NRE FD would be taxable or it would be exempt. So, whatever interest is earned on NRE FD, that is exempt. But now, what happens if you have taken FD for 5 years? So, in 5 years, 2 years, you have maintained your NRI status. And after 2 years, for example, for any reason, you are not able to maintain your NRI status. Now, the seafarers have the question in mind that if in that particular year I am not maintaining my NRI status, so then whether that interest, what I've earned in that particular financial year from the NRE FD, whether that would be exempt or that would be taxable. So, I would like to give a clarification on this point is that there are two definitions of NRI. One is as per Income Tax Act, one is as per FEMA. So, this NRE FD concept is as per the FEMA. And as per the FEMA, what it states that if you are having any intention to go outside India, and if your intention is to sail outside India, even in that particular financial year, you are not able to complete your NRI days, but in future, you will be going outside India, you will be completing NRI days, then even in that particular financial year, as per the FEMA, you will be considered as an NRI, but as per Income Tax Act, you will be considered as a resident. Now, the interest what you have earned from that particular NRE FD would still be exempt, even if you are a resident as per the Income Tax Act, but you are an NRI as per the FEMA. So, there are two parallel definitions which goes through. One is as per FEMA and one is as per the Income Tax Act. So, in order to check whether this particular interest on NRE FD is exempt, we have to have the intention of going outside India, going again sailing. Now, if your intention is to settle in India and start a business of yourself, then you cannot claim exemption on this NRE FD. So, entire thing depends on whatever is your intention. So, basically, if your intention is to go outside India, your interest would be exempt. If your intention is to settle in India and start your own business or do some offshore job, then this particular interest won't be exempt in NRE. Now, another important difference between NRE and NRO is that in NRE account, you can repatriate as many amount as you can. There is no limit. Outside India, if suppose any relative is staying outside India, so you can repatriate any amount from NRE account. But if in case of NRO, there is a restriction on repatriation outside India. You can repatriate only $1 million in a particular financial year outside India. So there is a restriction on $1 million in case of repatriation from NRO account. So these are some basic differences between NRE and NRO account.
Okay. I think that was a very detailed explanation, which I don't think any seafarer would be easily be able to get it from anywhere. That's interesting.
Thank you.
And this NRE, you said that 184 days and 185 days. Is there any other criteria for in last 5 years or last 3 years? It can be considered in case you don't maintain the last year.
Okay. So basically, I will go into some technical part because to understand this thing, it has to be some technical part. So now there is a condition that if you, for a normal NRI, not for seafarers, because on that basis you will come to know how it is not applicable to seafarers, this thing. So for a normal NRI, not seafarers, for a normal NRI, if your stay in India is for 60 days or more in a current year, and in previous 4 financial years, not the current financial year, in previous 4 financial years, if your stay in India is for more than 365 days, then you become a resident. Now, for a seafarer, the government has given a specific exemption that instead of 60 days in the current year, you have to see 182 days and not the 60 days. Okay. Now, if you are becoming 180, if you are staying in India for 182 days, or if you are staying outside India for 184, reverse. So you will become a non-resident. And for seafarers, this past 4 years condition need not be followed. Although the income tax ITR needs to give, we have to give disclosure in the ITR, income tax return, that in past 4 years, how many days you have stayed in India, but that has no relevance with the seafarers, because for seafarers, only and only we have to see 184 days outside India or 185 days, and we don't have to see in the past 4 years. But yes, now in the COVID situation, now as we all know that in COVID situation, many many of the seafarers are not able to go outside India because crew change is not possible of the air in the flights. So in that case, now many seafarers are asking these questions that what will happen if I'm not able to complete my 184 days outside India? Now will I have to pay tax in India? Or so because I'm not able to complete this number of days. So basically, if you're not able to complete 184 days outside India, still there is some leeway, and still you will not have to pay tax outside India provided these conditions are followed. Following conditions which I'm going to say. Now we have to see your past history. So even in the current financial year, you're not able to complete 184 days, but still in past, if your past history is very good in respect of NRI days, then still we can, then still whatever income you have earned from outside India, that is not taxable. Now, what do you mean by your past history should be good?
Okay.
Now, when we say that past history is good, we have to see your past 10 years record.
10 years.
So if your past 10 years record, yes, past 10 years. So if in the past 10 years, out of the past 10 years, in any 9 years, if you are an NRI, in the current financial year, you are a resident, but in the past 9 years, if you are an NRI, out of the any 10 years, so then in that case, whatever foreign income you have earned, that is not taxable.
Okay.
So if your past history is very good, and for this, in this particular financial year, if you are not able to complete, then also no need to worry. Your past records would save you from paying taxes. And another is that if even if you are not sailed for past 10 years, like many third officers or junior officers or third engineer, they sail only for 4-5 years because they have recently started their careers. So or if they are sailing for 7 years, so in that case we can see that if in the past 7 years, if you have stayed in India for less than 729 days. So if you have stayed in India for less than 729 days, then also whatever foreign income you have earned from outside India in the current financial year, you don't need to pay taxes in India in the current financial year. So these two things, like if you have, it is either or. So in the past 10 years, I will repeat again, in the past 10 years, out of the past 10 years, in 9 years, if you are an NRI, then no need to pay tax on the foreign income what you have earned. Or in the past 7 years, if your stay in India is less than 729 days, then also no need to pay tax for the foreign income what you have earned. So these two things will save you from paying taxes, especially in this COVID year where many of the seafarers are facing challenges.
Okay. So what I can revise is in the past 10 years, any 9 years, if you're maintaining your NRE, you are exempted from paying any tax. And also, if not, then your past 7 years, you should be out of India more than 729 days.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what about the last year when our great finance minister, whenever she comes, lots of hula hoop and confusion comes into the minds of seafarers. But last year, there is still confusion. Nobody is sure. Was there any days allowance given for 184 days? Or 185 days, in fact, it was a leap year last year.
Yes. So basically, in budget 2020, in the last year, there was this amendment made with respect to the directors and not with respect to the seafarers. So any Indian company who has to keep the Indian directors, for them the number of days was relaxed and not for the seafarers. Now there is a UN cry going about that the finance minister has reduced the number of days from 184 days to 120 days. That is a UN cry going on. Now I would like to clarify on this 120 days situation. Now basically this 120 days is, so I would like to tell the provisions of the act and then would explain how it would be applicable to seafarers or how it won't be applicable to seafarers. So basically the amendment which was made in budget 2020 was that if you are staying in India, if any NRI who comes on a visit to India and he stays in India for 120 days or more, but less than 182 days, sorry. And if his income from Indian sources, for example, rent or capital gains or dividend, if that exceeds 15 lakhs, then you will become a non-ordinary resident. You will become a resident, but that too non-ordinary resident. Now, so now normally the seafarers had in mind that for us only 184 days is applicable, and so if no, normally it was that if you stay in India for 182 days or more, and if we minus it by 365, that means 184 days outside India. So that's how the seafarers used to calculate based on the number of days and not based on the number of days in India. They used to calculate based on the number of days outside India and not how many days you are staying in India.
Correct.
So this 120 days, yes. So 120 days is based on the number of days you are staying in India. So now if you are staying in India for 120 days, but less than 184 days, because 182 days, because as it is, if you are staying for 182 days, you will become a resident. Now government has reduced this limit from 182 days to 120 days. Now you will become a non-ordinary resident. And as earlier in the first question, I had given that, I told that in residency, there are two types of residency. One is ordinary resident and one is non-ordinary resident. So in case of, now if you are staying, even if you are staying in India for 120 days or more, and even if you have 15 lakhs of income from rent, dividend, whatever it is there, still the seafarers need not worry because they will be classified as a non-ordinary resident, and as it is, they are earning from outside India, from foreign sources. So even if you classify as a non-ordinary resident, then also whatever income you have earned from sailing outside India, that will not be taxable. So the seafarers need not worry that even if they are like, if for example, if they have completed 190 days outside India. Now, if you have completed 190 days outside India, if we see that how many days are in India, that is 175, 365 minus 190. So that comes to 175 days. So now if we go as per the budget 2020 amendment, what has been made, and if your income is more than 15 lakhs from India, assuming, so you are more than 120 days because you have stayed in India for 175 days and your income is 15 lakhs or more. So you will become a non-ordinary resident, and whatever income you have earned from sailing outside India, that still won't be taxable. So you need not worry that I have not completed. So there was some misconception going on that 270 days need to be completed outside India. I have to sail 9 months outside India in order to be NRI. So all these are myths and misconceptions. For a seafarer, you just keep in mind that your 184 days has to be completed outside India. No need to worry about 120 days or 270 days, nothing to worry about. Yeah, so that is the thing which the seafarers, but only thing is that if you, like for in my example, the 190 days you have completed outside India, that means 175 days is in India. Now, if there is any Indian company, Indian shipping company, not the recruitment company, Indian shipping company, which is having some foreign flag, and they are controlling from India. So in that case, the seafarer has to worry about this 120 days condition only for those. But if the company is a foreign company having foreign flag, for those particular seafarers who are sailing under foreign company having foreign flag, for those seafarers, they do not worry about this 120 days criteria. They have to worry, and most of the seafarers, I suppose, they are sailing in foreign flag, and the foreign company, mostly foreign shipping company is there, I suppose. Yes.
Okay. Maritime Universe, I know you want to join in. It's already getting a little bit bouncer for the other guys listening for the first time. Okay, including me a little bit. But so I'll just get you at the end, because if you also ask questions, then I'll not be able to cover up the basic questions which we normally have. Okay, one question. So basically, see, most of the seafarers, practically, I'll tell you, if they are staying in India, they will very rarely, they will have an income which is more than 15 lakhs earning from India. So basically, for seafarers, it is always whatever they have earned on ships. So last year, there was some, misunderstanding that 10 days relaxation was given on the last financial year. Is it true?
So that particular 10 days it was given from 22nd March to 31st March. So those 10 days relaxation was for those NRIs who have come on a visit to India, and they are not able to go outside India because of the flights restrictions of due to COVID-19. So basically, it was for those NRIs who have come on a visit to India to meet their relatives, to meet their friends, and because of COVID-19, they could not go outside India to their home country since there was a lockdown. So only for those particular person who have been in India from 22nd March to 31st March, for them they were given relaxation. Now, if we see for seafarers, so seafarers generally do not come on a visit to India. They have their homes in India only. They just have gone for sailing. So it is applicable only to those seafarers who have their home country outside India and they have come on a visit to meet their relatives. So basically, those 10 days, as per my opinion, it is not applicable to seafarers, and because it is only for those who has their home country outside India. I mean, they are staying there, they have a house outside India, and they had come to meet their relatives or they had come to meet their friends in India, and because of COVID they could not go. So for them it was applicable, and those 10 days it would be considered that as if they are outside India only. Those 10 days would not be considered in India, even though you were staying in India.
Okay, so for example, I'm a seafarer. I've completed 185, no, so I've completed 175 days or 180 days, okay, last year, and I was supposed to join the vessel on 25th or 24th of March, but thanks to COVID, I couldn't fly, and I was left short of 5 days, for example. So I'll be considered a resident Indian for that year.
So if you have completed 180 days and if because of COVID you could not join,
Just 5 days.
so then you will be considered, yeah, just 5 days are missing. So you would be considered as a resident, because this relaxation which was given, this was not for seafarers, because generally it was for normal NRIs who had been stuck in India. So
Okay,
basically you will
okay.
be considered as an NRI. Sorry, you will be considered as a resident and not an NRI. Yes.
Okay, okay. I would request you, if possible, just if you can make it in a simpler way, just for the seafarers part, because this basically seafarers are only keen to understand this concept. Like we don't care about any other NRE. If you can understand. Basically, just the
Yes,
seafarers
yes.
funda. So now I get it that last year, that 10 days, that misunderstanding has been floating around for quite a while, my friends as well. And, confidently everybody's saying. So with this conversation, I make out that, that 10 days is not for a seafarers. And this year
Yes.
also, I believe
Yes.
there is no such dates leeway or months leeway given by a finance minister.
Yes, this year also there is no such leeway given by the finance minister, and it is just for one-person company. So it is for different particular subject which they have given relaxation, and not for seafarers. So for seafarers still it is 184 days only, and we are expecting that the government should come up with relaxation, not as per the last year, but there should be some relaxation in terms of the number of days.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Another question is like, suppose that's been a common practice. Okay. Before that, the CDC dates only for the seafarer. The CDC dates are counted nowadays, or the passport in and out dates.
Yes. So, in terms of CDC or passport, when should we consider for CDC and when should we consider passport dates? So that we need to understand first, and then after that we will come to point that whether both dates are included, arrival or departure, and whether sign on and sign off date are included. So I'll come to that afterwards. So first thing is when should we consider now? 184 days तो हो गया कि कैसे 184 days करना है, but वो 184 days calculate कैसे करें? So that is the most important thing. So basically, if you have signed on from an Indian port, and if you have signed off from a foreign port, or if you have signed on from a foreign port and sign off from an Indian port, in those two situations you have to consider your CDC dates.
Oh,
And in rest other situations, for example, if you have sign on from foreign port and sign off also is in foreign port only, so in that case we have to consider your passport dates for calculating number of days outside India.
All right.
So yes.
Okay.
So basically, yeah.
If I may say, so basically what I understand is if you're joining in India or signing off in India, then your CTC dates will be considered. But if you're joining on any other country other than India, then passport dates are considered.
Correct, correct. Because what happens in passport, when we consider passport dates, we get an additional time from the Indian airport to the foreign country. So that also additional time is considered while calculating the when we consider when we consider the passport dates in that situation. Now, coming to the question, what you would ask is that whether to consider arrival date or departure date in India or outside India, or whether to consider sign-on date or sign-off date in India or outside India. So basically, if in the first situation, what I talked about is that if you're considering CDC dates, if you're considering CDC dates, then in that case we have to take sign on and sign off dates both outside India. If you are considering CDC dates, and if you are considering the passport dates, which are in case of situations like if you have signed on from foreign port and sign off from foreign port, then in that case the departure and the arrival dates to be on the safer side, because there are a lot of disputes and judgments with respect to considering arrival and departure dates. So to be on the safer side, we have to consider arrival and arrival and departure dates in India only.
Correct. We have to exclude them.
And arrival, yes, we have to exclude them for the purpose of calculating 184 days outside India. Yes. Okay. So to be on the safer side, because there are a lot of disputes, and I mean, there is a lot of interpretations and various judgments, and the department quotes some judgment. We also quote some judgment. There are some judgments in our favor, some judgments in department's favor. So to be on the safer side, we always suggest seafarers to take both dates in India only and exclude for the purpose of calculation.
Yeah, I believe many of the seafarers whom I know, they always we exclude this, even though we have no knowledge of the income tax, but we exclude the sign on sign off dates from India. I mean the flight dates, the when you leave your passport stamps.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, stamp dates, correct.
Next question, which basically most of the seafarers they tend to do is, in case you're left with 5 days, then you will fly to Sri Lanka, or like our Rahul Gandhi goes to Thailand. So will those 5 days on any abroad trip can be considered as a NRE?
So basically, the number of days is for only if you have gone for the purpose of employment. Mm-hmm. And if you have gone for the purpose of vacation or meeting your friends or relatives outside India, that won't be considered as outside India, because the Income Tax Act clearly states that you should go for the purpose of employment. Then only 184 days are considered. Otherwise, if you're going for vacation and now there are various questions being asked, is that if I go for a study, like various seafarers go for study outside India, so whether I should consider those dates outside India or those dates in India. So I would suggest that we can consider those dates outside India, because at the end, those studies are for the purpose of employment only. We have the seafarer goes outside India for the purpose of employment only. So we can consider those dates outside India also for study leave.
But since we are considering the passport dates, don't you think we can consider the 4-5 days, 10 days of any abroad trip included? Because I believe many have done that, and so far I don't think, because they've been regularly doing that. So I think it should be allowed once upon a time.
See, actually, it is not allowed. If the department comes to know, then it is we have to have a strong argument to the department that we had gone for employment, because department is very strict in these situations. Like even if you go for 5 days and if you have not completed your number of days, then that they are considering in India, and because they also check the CDC dates also, comparing with the passport date. So it will be a clear, they can compare that CDC में आपने sign off किया इस तारीख को, and आप general time लगता है 1-2 दिन का gap is fine, या 2-3 दिन का gap from the foreign country to the India is fine. But if the gap is like 10 days, 15 days, So that clearly department comes to know that you have gone for vacation, or unless we have a strong reason to justify the department.
Okay. One
Yes.
another question which is coming out of this is now since I'm signing off from Los Angeles, for example, okay, and but I still have 2 days more NRE remaining, the 185 days or 184 days. I request my company that give me a flight after 3 days. Of course, forget US. US doesn't allow you, and COVID they want you to leave the vessel now. Forget that. If you're in any country which allows you to stay for at least few days, and then you come to India, will that days will be counted as NRE days?
So basically, you are staying in a hotel outside India after sign off like 2 3 days.
Correct. Huh.
So like from Los Angeles, normally we can consider those 2 3 days, but see, at the end, it is all about the department coming to know. I mean, if the department does not come to know and we are okay, I mean, 2 3 days is fine. Like you stay in a hotel and the flights are not available or as on that date, or you did not get the flight booking as on that date, and 2 3 days those are fine. But if it is substantial and the number of days like outside India is substantial from the sign off date and from the passport date, then they can challenge you.
All right. Got it. And another question which I believe I can be, I will be able to answer this. Like if I'm joining a vessel and I'm joining a vessel in Korea and they have a 14 days quarantine restriction for me, but since I'm leaving India and I'm joining the vessel after 14 days, I believe this 14 days should be counted as my NRE because I'm joining for the purpose of employment.
Yes, yes, you can take those 14 days outside India, because now as per the COVID situation, you have to have compulsory quarantine of 14 days. So you can take those 14 days outside India, and even department won't have much issues in this case, because they know how the situation is going on, and we have a good reason to justify the department.
All right, all right. Next is for foreign flag vessels, it's not a big problem. But what about the ships? Okay, one question with foreign flag. Somebody asks if the vessel is trading in Indian waters on a foreign flag vessel, then what are the taxation liabilities for that guy?
See, the government, what the government has said, that if the ship is a foreign going vessel and not the foreign flag, it has said that the ship should be foreign going. Then now what happens if you have signed on from Indian port, and if you have signed off from foreign port? Now generally there are certain number of days which are with the ship is there in Indian waters before going to foreign waters. In that case, the government has given a relaxation that those number of days which are there in Indian waters, those days won't be considered in India. Those would be considered outside India, because it is normal general sense that if you have signed on from Indian port, there would be some time that the ship would be remaining in the Indian waters before going to the foreign waters. So that is in respect of the foreign going vessel, and not with respect to the foreign flag vessel. So even if the vessel is an Indian flag or a foreign flag, as long as that particular vessel is a foreign going vessel, then the number of days what you have sailed in India, that would be considered outside India. But if now, as the question what you have asked is that a foreign flag vessel is sailing in Indian waters, whether that would be considered in India, now it depends on whether that particular vessel is a foreign going. So that we see from the CDC. So in CDC there is a stamp that it is FG vessel or worldwide vessel or coastal vessel,
Okay,
CV. So
okay.
if yeah.
Oh, okay. One of my ship was doing a India coastal run. It was a foreign going vessel, but due to time charter, it was called upon and it started doing this coastal run. So that time, if I've spent on that ship for 6 months, so I believe it should be NRE because it was a foreign going vessel. I am in a company which is a foreign, even which employs a foreign going ships.
Okay, so it was basically foreign going vessel, but 6 months you were in Indian waters,
Yeah.
and like ultimately it went to the foreign waters, right? Or
Oh,
it was in
no,
India only?
the ship came to, for example, between Gujarat and Mumbai. Okay, it was time chartered between Gujarat and Mumbai after coming from from wherever, and it was time chartered for 1 year, for example. Now the company asked me to join that vessel. Now I cannot refuse, like many of us would not refuse. So, but it's a foreign flag. It's a Marshall Island flag registered vessel. Now, if I join that vessel in Mumbai and I stay on board for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, or even 9 months for that matter, will that be taxable or not taxable?
See, the foreign flag vessel, and so what will be the stamp which would be on the CDC in this case? Whether it would be FG or whether it would be
FG, FG,
coastal
FG,
vessel?
FG, FG.
Okay, it would be an FG. So
Yeah.
in that case, then in that case, we don't need to worry. As per my opinion, like there would be various opinions on this case, but as per my opinion, then it should not be taxable because it is a foreign going vessel, and just because it stayed in India for 6 months, you cannot tax that particular
Exactly.
thing. Because at the end, the ultimate purpose is that it is a foreign going vessel and it is a foreign bound ship. So after now, my whether I have sailed in Indian or foreign waters, that does not matter. The ship should be foreign going. So I have sailed in India for 6 months, and that was in Indian waters. That is not my mistake because that is the purpose of that particular ship. And at the end, after signing off from me, it is ultimately going to foreign waters only. So yes,
Okay. Next
it would.
question is regarding
As per my,
the
yes.
next question is regarding the Indian flag vessels. For Indian flag vessels, the companies need to compulsory file your forms. I mean the form 16. You file your returns before they employ you. But then they can claim. They can claim the if they have completed more than 184 and 185 days. So just if you can explain for people who are like working on the Indian flag vessels and it's a foreign going vessel.
Okay. So if it is an Indian flag vessel and if you have completed your NRI days, correct? You have completed your NRI days and if you have received your salary in NRE account,
Yeah.
then whatever TDS the Indian flag company has deducted, that you can claim as a refund. But provided these two conditions will be satisfied that you have taken your entire salary in NRE account and you have completed your NRI days, these are the two things which need to be satisfied. And it is a foreign going ship.
Okay. Now, in case of a coastal, I believe then it becomes like you're working in India itself.
Yes. So coastal vessels, it is taxable in India and it is considered in India only.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I believe I'm not even picked up with the questions, but it's almost 1 hour and things are getting interesting. A lot of people have asked many questions. So I believe I covered foreign going. I believe the going abroad for for the few days of NRE, it's not counted officially. Then okay,
Hmm.
I will not cover up others and. Okay, just the investment for seafarers that they do in India, mutual funds and shares, if the profit, whatever that comes from those investments, the tax liability for that.
So whatever investment like mutual funds, sale of shares, you're talking about the taxability of that particular investment.
Yeah, I believe they are
Okay.
taxed because that's the thing earned in India.
Yes, so that is earned in India, and if you have sold any mutual fund or sold shares, or if you are earning dividend income, or yeah, so these are the income which are earned in, or so these are taxable in India because it is earned in India. But as far as FD is concerned, there is a special relaxation of interest on NRE FD,
Okay, NREFT is
and
tax free.
whatever rent income, yeah, whatever rent income you have earned, that is taxable. And so if you have sold any property, so if you as an NRI, if you have sold any property in India, so that is also taxable. But I would suggest a tax saving option in this that if you have sold any property, you should try to invest that particular money what you have received from selling the property into another residential property. Then whatever profit is there on selling of property, that will not be taxable. So that is a special exemption given to the selling of property.
Okay, okay. So yeah, if you're selling a residential property, then you cannot put it in the FD and start earning interest on that. You have to invest by buying another residential property.
Correct, correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay, we covered that. Okay, income tax refund. Simran had this question. So, income tax refund, what is it?
Okay.
Is it
So
any? Is it any
basically,
term? Yeah.
yeah. So income tax refund is basically, as we discussed earlier, that if any TDS has been deducted by the Indian shipping companies or Indian flag vessels, and I have completed my NRI days, so that TDS and as it is, your income is not taxable at all. So I have paid an extra tax to the government by way of TDS been deducted by the Indian flag vessels. So that extra tax what I have paid, that is an income tax refund. So people call it as TDS refund, people call it as income tax refund. That is one and the same.
All right. Okay. Some guys are asking about the how to save taxes in India, but I believe that comes under a separate topic. Yeah, we will not cover
Yes. So
that.
basically, okay, I'll share some brief about this, how to save taxes. So basically, how to invest, like where to invest. In that way, you can save taxes
For seafarers. Yeah.
because whatever earnings are there, yeah, for seafarers only. So you can invest in the life insurance policies. You can invest in term insurance policies. You could invest in um, uh, the ULIP policies. You can invest in the FDs which are there for 5 years. You can also invest in ELSS, equity linked saving scheme. That those are, in common parlance, it is called as tax deductible mutual funds. So that is a good option for a seafarer because a lot of seafarers invest in mutual funds, but they don't remember that they should invest in those mutual funds which are tax deductible, and so they will get additional benefit of investing. So those are in technical term, those are called as ELSS. So you have to invest in ELSS mutual funds. So those are tax deductible, and an additional these what I've talked about, and also the housing loan. So whatever principal payment you have made on housing loan, that you can get as an additional deduction. So these deductions are counted. You can get 1,50,000 deduction by investing in this all these investments. And apart from that, you can also invest up to rupees 50,000 in national pension scheme. So these many of them are not aware of NPS. So apart from those 1,50,000 in ATC, what we call as ATC, that is there. But this 50,000 is an additional deduction, and it is available for an NRI, this national pension scheme, up to 50,000. But now many of them have questions like whether to invest in PPF, Public Provident Fund. So whether that is eligible for deduction or not. So as an NRI, you cannot open a PPF account. But when you are a resident and that time you have opened a PPF and now you have converted into NRI, then you can continue to hold that PPF account and claim deduction. But as an NRI, and if you want to freshly open that PPF account, you cannot open. It is not allowed as per this. And moreover, you can also invest in Mediclaim. So in Mediclaim, you can get an additional deduction of 25,000 in case of self. And if you have if you have taken a Mediclaim of your parents, so you can additionally get a deduction of 25,000. And if the parents are senior citizens, so you can get 50,000 as a standard deduction in case of Mediclaim. And if you have made any donations, now in COVID situation, many of them have donated in PM CARES Fund. So that PM CARES Fund, what you have donated, that is also eligible for 100% benefit deductions. So these are the basic investments what you can do to save taxes.
All right. And what about the NSC, saving certificate one?
Yeah, that is also you are eligible for deductions under NSC. So that is included in ATC, the bracket of 1,50,000 what is there. So that is included in that.
All right. Okay. There's one person who is, I believe, is next to Mukesh Ambani. He's asking about cryptocurrency and investment through wife and sister and mother. If you have extra funds, can you please share in my bank account, please? So, investment, many of the seafarers, they are scared. So, to be noticed by the income tax of doing any measure. So they do invest through the wife. So for example, opening a mutual fund through wife's account. Now, if the wife is working is not a problem. If the wife is housewife, then what are the liabilities or complications? Because the wife is housewife and you are investing through wife's name because she's a resident Indian. So you're just putting in mutual funds for, a number of amount and shares. So will this affect?
See, wife being a household, that does not matter because whatever amount you have invested, and at the end, the wife income tax return would be calculated separately. The wife's tax would be calculated separately. So if you have invested from your wife's account into the mutual funds, and then at the end of 1 year or 2 years, if you have sold any mutual fund, so that is anyways taxable. On investment, no tax. There is no tax on investment. But when you sell that particular shares or mutual funds, then as it is anyways, it is taxable. So whether you invest from your account or your spouse account, that does not matter because anyways, both are going to pay tax. So that is not a concern.
All right, all right. So I believe the Mukesh Ambani's junior, he's got his answer. And cryptocurrency, I believe it's again it's very complicated one. Cryptocurrency is banned in many countries. Some people must have invested, but I mean, it should be taxable, right? The cryptocurrency ones, your interest earned from all the
Yeah, cryptocurrency is taxable, but I would suggest that cryptocurrency is still a dilemma because as per the Indian law, cryptocurrencies are not allowed. And now recently, Supreme Court judgment came wherein they have allowed cryptocurrency. So officially, any law, the RBI has banned cryptocurrencies, and Supreme Court has given the judgment in favor that you can invest in cryptocurrencies, but there is still ambiguity in whether you can invest in cryptocurrency. And I would suggest you should avoid investing in cryptocurrency till the time the law is very clear on this particular subject because it is very there is a lot of ambiguity in this case.
All right, all right. Another my personal experience for the new guys, new seafarers, cadets, and GP ratings. If possible, just take a term insurance. Correct me if I'm wrong. Term insurance is the best thing you can do at an early stage. Many of the guys don't take it. I also took it at a later stage. At a higher age, your premium is much higher. So guys, go for the term insurance. You take whatever cover you can. It will always help you because working on ship, you're prone to so many accidents and injuries. So take a term insurance first thing. And LIC policies, I'm not a brand ambassador, but I had taken it earlier, but then I realized it was the worst thing to do. It's not, it's a safe, but you can get much better returns in mutual funds shares if go through a good financial advisor.
Yeah, so as it is rightly said that if for a young cadets and term insurance is always better as compared to life insurance because the premium is also very low in term insurance, and in case of life insurance the premium is quite high as compared to term insurance. So yeah, I totally agree with Captain Vijay.
All right, so that's my basic, and I believe I have covered most of the questions that I had. I'll just pick few random questions. So guys, this video definitely I'll be saving it in my Instagram profile and my YouTube channel as well. I'll be sharing the link to Sachet as well. He will also share it in his page. And
Sure.
so because initially people were a little bit, it's you really watch this video once or twice, I'm sure you'll be able to understand, and that's why Sachet is here. And if you can see, he has a excellent knowledge. Many things was even beyond it was bouncer for me, but I'm sure he will be able to explain it to you much better if you contact him through his DM or through the mobile number that is kept it there. So. And
Yes.
please follow Seafarers Tax. His Instagram page is there, beautiful page. His website is beautiful. And get in touch with Sachet for any queries or any guidance. So I'll just pick few random questions. If you can also see on a screen, you can feel free to answer. Maybe someday we will try to cover for the investment part for a seafarer. Forget the NRE or non-NRE. We'll just what things can the seafarer do, to get tax benefits. That we'll just cover
Sure.
one day whenever like you're free.
Sure. You can do that. I'll just see one question. If I don't earn anything, or let's say only 1-2 months in a financial year, like I appear for exams, orals, or courses, etc. in India, so I am only liable to file tax for those 1-2 months as a resident. Yes.
Yeah.
So you are right that if you have stayed only for 1-2 months, you will be a resident, and you would have to pay tax based on those what the salary what you have earned in those 1-2 months. So you are right. You will be liable for only those 1-2 months only.
Basically, if somebody was not able to complete his NRE days in India, so make sure you earn the least amount possible, so that you'll have to pay less tax.
Yes, correct. Because if you keep your income up to 5 lakhs, then it would not be taxable for you. Even if you are a resident, because up to 5 lakhs, the government has given normally the exemption is up to 2,50,000. But if your income is up to 5 lakhs, not more than 5 lakhs, if your income is up to 5 lakhs, and the government has given a special rebate of 12,500, that is 2,50,000, the difference of 5 lakh minus 2,50,000 पे 5% जो tax pay करते हैं, so that the government has given a rebate. So if you keep your income up to 5 lakhs, but yeah, if you cross your income above 5 lakhs, then in that case, this rebate is not available. So,
All right. And what if this Maritime Universe is a big page? He's asking me to host many of his live sessions. So maybe one day he gives me a earning of 15 lakhs someday. So will that be taxable?
yes, so because Maritime Universe is in India and you are earning that income from India only, so that 15 lakhs would be taxable in your case as a professional fees.
All right. Somebody asked me on a private this thing, some information regarding offshore bank accounts. You have any idea? Or if you want, you can skip this because I don't
So
come
offshore
across
is
any.
basically the foreign.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so offshore account means like you're opening account in a foreign country. Yes, that.
Yeah.
So if you are an NRI, yeah, if you're an NRI, you don't need to disclose your foreign accounts. But yes, if you become a resident, then you need to disclose all your accounts, whether it is an Indian account or a foreign account. That is compulsory. But if you're an NRI, then no need to disclose your foreign accounts.
Okay. So if you're NRA in India, that means you don't have to disclose your offshore accounts. All right. So Pratik Shetty, I hope you got
Yes.
your answer. And if you have another country citizenship, just like Akshay Kumar, I don't remember any seafarer having that, but in case he does, then
So if you are, then also we will see that how many days you are in India in that case, because you are a foreign citizen and you have some citizenship of some country, and then we will see that how many days you are in India. So if you are more than 182 days in India, then you will be considered as a resident. And so basically, it depends on what income you are earning, how many days you are in India. It depends on all these situations.
all right. Next question is people have the assumption that if you file tax, for example, somebody has filed tax in 2018-19, but he doesn't file, the next 2 years. So the income tax will give him a message or an alert. He'll come under the radar.
See, if you file once, then I would suggest that you should continue filing every year, because what happens, if you don't file for if you file for 1 year and if you do not file for 2 years down the line, and then again you file, then there is a irregularity in filing, and in future if you have bought any property, so now the department asks you that how what are the sources of income, because I have only 3 years out of the 5 years. For example, if you have filed 3 years only ITR and in between 2 years you have not filed your ITR, so in that case the department and for example 5 years down the line you have purchased a property. Now the department can question you what are the sources of income, because we have only received your 3 years ITR and remaining 2 years ITR we have not received. So and I'm assuming that out of those 5 years, from those 5 years, whatever income you have earned, you have purchased the property. So there are various things. I would suggest that it is just a matter of disclosure to the government, and I would suggest every person that if they are continuing with filing of ITR, they should file it every year, irrespective of their status, irrespective of earning their income, even if they have not sailed outside India, they should continue. And I would like to clarify one misconception is that there is a lot of misconception going on among the seafarers that if you reach a particular rank, then only you should file your ITR. So that particular misconception needs to be clarified, because it does not matter what rank you are sailing. Even if you are a cadet or a junior engineer, and if you have earned in India in that particular, if you have earned in India, not if you have earned in that particular financial year for more than 2,50,000 rupees, then I would suggest it is always advisable to file your ITR in order to avoid any future consequences. So
All right.
it does not matter what rank are you sailing and how much income you have earned. And if your income in India is income earned is more than 2,50,000, then you should file your ITR.
Okay.
And that too during the financial year.
All right. So another thing I would like all the seafarers I've seen making the portage bill on board. So I've seen many of the seafarers they send their money into their savings account. So I think I believe I also advise them, but then they're already on board. They will not be able to open the NRE. So I advise them to open an NRE account because being a seafarer, you need to have an NRE account. You cannot maintain a savings bank account. If they're sending in wife's account or mother's account, father's account, that's different. But if you're sending in your own account, it has to be a NRE account. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Another question is okay. This I might be able to answer. If you don't send money in NRE account, suppose he's somebody who's done 9 months on board and he's earned $9,000, $1,000 every month, and then he doesn't send in his bank account and he brings it cash. So no company would allow to do that. But okay, he's bought cash in India. Again, I believe that is tax free because he's NRE as per the status. But then airport pay, I believe there is some restriction on the amount of currency that you bring
Yes,
in.
yes, yes. So you can bring only $5,000 from outside India, and you have to, if you are bringing more than $5,000 USD, you have to give declaration on the in the airport to the customs that so there is a separate form for declaration. But I believe his question is that based on the cash thing is that if I'm not able to complete my NRI days, and so can I take on board cash and
Oh,
avoid paying tax on that particular cash advance being taken? So I believe his question is that. So I would like to clarify this thing is see, if you take in bank account or if you take cash advance on board, everything has been recorded in your contract letter. So it does not matter whether you take in cash, whether you take in bank. If you have not completed your number of days outside India, and in order to avoid taxes, you are taking cash advance on board, then that would not be a good option to save taxes, and that amount would be taxable still, because what we see is your salary slip also. So your salary slip contains the details of the salary what you have earned. It contains in dollars. So the income tax department can easily track you based on the salary slip and based on the contract letter. It clearly states how much salary you have earned, and if they compare with their bank statements, there would be a substantial difference between what you have received in a bank account and what you have actually should have received. So it is anyways taxable even if you receive in cash.
yeah, perfectly said. Okay. Next question is last question, I believe. I mean, if you if you keep this live session on, we'll have even more questions. So we'll keep it for next time. The last question I would say is for maintaining a CIBIL score, is the tax filing mandatory?
For maintaining a CIBIL score, tax filing, I would suggest is uh, it has to be mandatory. And also for availing loan, the banks normally ask you your ITR file for last 3 years or 5 years. So then it is advisable to file your ITR
All right.
to
And
maintain a
last,
good CIBIL score and also to avail loan. Yes.
last advice, because out of 100 seafarers, there will be, forget seafarers, out of all over India, very few are filing tax in first place. So any advice for the seafarers to maintain, file their returns regularly instead of, just not filing it and, waiting for the income tax to give them notice. So why advantages of, proactively filing it in the first place?
Yes. So basically, in the following situations, you should file your ITR. Now, if you have purchased any property, it is compulsory that you have to file your ITR, because then the department can question you the source of income. Second thing, if you want to avail loan in future, you should file your ITR, because banks consider ITR as the main document. Third thing is, if any TDS has been deducted, then you should file. So I would suggest that you should file your ITR, because आप कमा रहे हो घर लेने के लिए या इन्वेस्टमेंट करने के लिए, आपकी बहुत सारी इन्वेस्टमेंट भी होगी, एफडीज भी होगी, तो आपने इन्वेस्टमेंट भी किया है तो भी डिपार्टमेंट ट्रैक कर सकता है इजीली कि आपने इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है, एफडी में तो आपकी सोर्स ऑफ इनकम क्या है. तो आप एट दी एंड जो कमाते हो वो दैट इज फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट और फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ सेविंग्स और फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ पर्सनल एक्सपेंसेस. सो आई वुड सजेस्ट दैट सी इट इज ऑलवेज एडवाइजेबल टू फाइल योर ITR, एंड चैन की नींद सोना इज ऑलवेज बेटर rather than डिपार्टमेंट का वेट करने के लिए, एंड इट इज ऑलवेज एडवाइजेबल टू फाइल योर ITR.
All right.
क्योंकि बाद में कोई नोटिस आएगी, बाद में कोई कम्युनिकेशन आएगा डिपार्टमेंट से, so that is a huge cost, legal cost, as all of us know that legal cost is very much, especially in India where dialogue है तारीख पे तारीख पे तारीख, so it goes on and there is no solution at all. So it is always better to file your IPR at the first instance rather than waiting for the department notice.
All right, so that takes care of that. And Maritime Universe request another last question. So, guys, that is the last question. I believe we still have many unanswered questions. So we will request Sachet to give us 1 hour again sometime later, and we will cover whatever we couldn't cover in this session. He's asking if you request a company to send 9 months whole money in account. No good company does that. And will there be no illegal issues? So I don't understand what he's trying to say. If we request a company to send 9 months whole money in account, practically I have not seen that. But okay, if you're doing that, I believe again that should not be a problem, because ultimately, as per your wage slip, for 9 months you were supposed to earn $9,000. If you're transferring in one go or you're doing it in thousand every month, ultimately your bank has $9,000. I think it should not be any problem.
Yes, so at the end, 9 months salary has been received in your bank account, and it is an NRE account, right?
NRE account, yeah.
So then, yes, and if you have completed outside India, you're an NRI, then this amount will not be taxable.
Okay, right. That's it. Okay, people asking Sachet your Insta page. So if you can type in the comment. But anyways, I'll be posting this video and I'll be tagging you as well. I will be tagging him. I'll be tagging various other pages, and I'll be putting in my story as well. So guys, you will get his Insta page for sure. And I believe you have been, many of your doubts would have been clear today. That's what I believe. Even my doubts, many of my doubts were clear. Many of my master's group also, they had few questions for me. I believed I covered most of them, but I'm sure they'll be really sad to hear this, that last year 10 days there was no levy of this so-called as 10 days.
Yes.
So ultimately, this is going to break their heart. So again, Sachet,
yes,
it's been 1 hour, 16 minutes. So again, I really thank you. I mean, we were just available for 1 hour. So you have taken 15 minutes more of your time. So again, I'm sorry for that.
No problem, no problem.
So thank you so much for joining.
I would like to thank yes. So I would like to thank Captain Vijay and Maritime Universe and Simran, and for giving opportunity to solve many queries. I hope I have cleared many of the doubts, and in case if the doubts are not cleared, so we can have, like, you can anytime call me. We can give any consultancy, and the consultancy is free. So you can anytime call me, and because as a seafarer, I have seen, like I have been under guidance of Captain Sanjay Parashar, and so I also visited one of the vessel, and I have seen how the seafarers work. Salute to all the seafarers. Really, they have to be considered as a frontline worker, and they are putting a lot of their hard work, staying away from their family for 9 months, 6 months. It is a very difficult job. Like staying 1 month away from the family is also a difficult job for me. For seafarers, it is a very difficult job, and I salute all the seafarers. And under the guidance of Sanjay Parashar and Captain Vijay and Himachal Seafarers Association, Karun Jamwalji. So we have come up with this website called www.seafarerstax.org, and I hope I will be able to help all the seafarers in their taxation part and finance part. What my role when my role comes into play, and thank you so much for inviting me on this platform.
Pleasure is mine. Pleasure is mine. Okay, guys, he has extremely good knowledge. He is sympathetic to seafarers. He understands seafarers. There are many CAs who would just be bothered about your the commission or whatever. But this guy, I believe, even you can make out. He is honest and he will do his best to get you your answers. So follow him, get in touch with him, and we will surely have another session very soon. So with this, thank you, Sachet. Thank you for coming, and I'll just disconnect. So thank you, and good night all my viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much.